My name is Nan Cohen. I'm the producer of Light Television from Light Productions, and I'd like to welcome you to Part 7 of Rabbi Gerson Winkler's Introduction to Judaism, entitled Sacred Spirals, Ancient Jewish Mystery. In this discussion, Rabbi takes us on a wild, nonlinear exploration of the ancient and rarely discussed subjects of parallel universes, with Earth and Heaven's sacred spirals, their attributes, and how they influence our daily life situations. Let's join Rabbi Winkler for another fun-filled, informative evening as he shares esoteric and pragmatic ancient Jewish wisdom with us.
So I want to open up with a nice little chant for you, from me to you, because that's how I like to open up. It's a very short chant. Okay. You know, we were always on the run in ancient times, so try to keep it short. You know. Here they come again. Yay. What's the topic tonight? Huh?
Parallel universes and how they affect us in day-to-day life.
Oh, yeah, that one. Okay. Okay, I will now tell you everything. We are sorry for the inconvenience of those of you who came at 6 and thought it was at 7, and those who came at 7 thinking it was at 8, and those who came at 8 thinking it had already been done. We'll try to have it more coordinated next time. So yeah, this chant I just did, actually it talks about the parallel universes, in a way. You see, it says that about 3,600 years ago, one of our ancestors, I'm from the Hebrew people, Jewish people, so I will talk from my tradition. One of my ancestors, his name was Yaakov. Yaakov means follower, one who follows. Let's go, all right. This way, all right. This way, all right, no problem. Right? And he had a falling out with his twin brother a long time ago when he was back home. and then he has to run away to get away from it. His twin brother threatens to kill him as soon as Pa dies. And so he runs off to the north country and hangs out with his uncle, Uncle Laban. And there he marries two daughters of Laban, and he also has, in addition to that, two other half-wives, Pilakshim. So he has 12 boys and one girl, and the green grass grew all around, and the green grass grew all around. And so he's got sheep and cattle, and he's working for his father-in-law. And after 20-some years, he decides, he's had enough. He wants to go home. Because he also heard that his twin brother, who he hasn't spoken to for over 2 decades, has relocated, gotten a job and everything, and lives in Mount Seir or somewhere. He's out of the picture. So he can go home now to Hebron, to his daddy's house. So he grabs his whole family, the 4 women, the 12 boys, the 1 girl, the many donkeys, sheep, goats, and cattle, oh my, and he heads back toward Hebron, toward the south. Through the desert. On his way, it says suddenly some of his boys, they were out there scouting to see what's ahead, because they see a big cloud of dust in the distance. And they come back and say, Pa, why, there's your brother, Uncle Esau. He's heading this way. And he's got 400 goons with him. Hine Esav achicha ba lefanecha. Behold, Esav, your brother, is coming in front of you. Ve'aba meot ish imo. 400 warriors are with him. So way back when you was kids, he was just your twin brother, You can push each other back and forth. But Pa, you ran away from the conflict and spent 2 decades running from your shadow, your twin self. And now your shadow's grown 400 times bigger than it ever was. Then it says, Vayiro Yaakov me'od, and follower Yaakov was so afraid because, he felt very vulnerable. He had these boys and his daughter and his women, and he didn't know what to do. So he brought them all across the river. He moved them all and camouflaged them with leaves, and he painted them with magic markers. And then it says, and here comes the chant, then it says he went back across the river toward which he came from by himself. Then it says, the chant goes, Vayivater Yaakov levado, and Yaakov was left alone. Vayavek ish imo, and a man wrestled with him all the night, atamot hashachar, until the rise of the morning star. A spirit, turns out to be a spirit at the end, who then, after Jacob wrestles with him all night long, spirit says, please, I give up, just let me go. I got to go because the morning star has risen. And so Jacob says, I will not let you go until you bless me. And so the spirit says, no longer shall you be called follower, Yaakov, your name shall be Yisrael. Ki sarita imarhima adama tuchal, because you have wrestled with the spirit, with the divine, and with the mortal, and you have overcome. So, I forgot to make this announcement. So who was this spirit? And then afterwards, just to make a long story short, the next morning, Yaakov goes out to encounter his brother, and they embrace and kiss. No fighting, no bloodshed, no revenge, nothing. Why? Because Yaakov had gone back across the river. He'd gone back to the very thing, the very place, the very pain of his past, to face it head on, to wrestle with what he had negated, denied, run from all these years, so that he had resolved within himself the conflict. But how can you resolve a conflict with somebody, with yourself? Oh, here we go to the parallel universes. Who was this spirit wrestling with Father Jacob? with Yaakov? Well, we get some hint of who the Spirit was by the fact the Spirit begs Yaakov to let him go. Because it's morning. I got to go. Why? Just because it's morning, we cannot wrestle anymore? This is fun. Why does the Spirit have to go? Because it's morning. Was it a vampire? You know, why? So the answer is, our oral tradition teaches, this was the spirit of Esau, his brother. So what does that mean? I don't know. Oh yes, I do. It means that it's an international forum, fair and festival at Caras Park and University of Montana on June 20 through 24. It's Partners for Global Justice and Sustainable Communities invites you all to come to that. So if you want more information, I leave this here. That's one explanation. The other explanation is, this is how commercials were invented. You know? Little by little by little. So our ancient teachers taught us as follows. They said, when you sleep, your spirit leaves your body and goes on a journey. Bye-bye. That's called a nightmare. Spirit leaves your body and goes bye-bye and goes away. That's why in the morning, you know, I'm sorry I speak a little bit like St. Patrick. It's just past. I cannot get it out of my system. In the morning, therefore, you wake up, and what happens? In the Jewish tradition, we say, Elohai, power of mine, my God. Neshama shenatata bi torahi, the breath, the soul that you have breathed into me is pure. Tabarata, taetzata, tanafachta bi, you created it, you formed it, you breathed it into me. Atameshamra bekirbi, you watch over it as it dwells within me. And you take it from me and you bring it back to me. Thank you for restoring it to me this morning. Thank you. You're very sweet. You're very cute. Nice God. Ah, coochie, coochie, coochie God. Oh, little God, oh, God, oh, God, oh, coochie God. Right? That's the prayer we say in the morning. A shorter version of that ancient prayer is Modeani lefanecha, I thank you. El Chai v'Kayam, O Eternal One, Shechazata bi nishmati, who restored unto me my breath. B'chemla, with compassion. Rabba emunatecha, you have increased my faith in you. I could make plans for next week. Because it seems like this habit, this codependent thing with you, God, that you keep giving me life every day. All right. I can make plans. See? So the teaching is, in our ancient tradition, the teaching is that when you go to sleep, the soul, the spirit leaves the body and journeys. Now your body then tries to translate as best as it can what the spirit experiences traveling into the other worlds, the other universes. And that's why you get all these weird dreams. Because, you know, it's like, I can't call CBS and complain, oh, CBS, I like to complain, I don't get a good picture here. You know, it's going up and down and going, hello, hello, oh, darn, better call GTE too. You know, you can't complain to the network for the bad picture. It's your antenna. So how you receive the vision of your spirit, the kind of dream you have, is determined by your antenna, by your receptacle, how you receive, how you live your daily life, creates the antenna, creates the satellite dish. Satellite, satellite, I watch it all day and I watch it all night. It's a song I used to hear in West Virginia. And I want you all to sing it after we finish today. It's a very important song to me, and I never heard it in the chorus. That's the only stanza in it, too. Now, do you see what's happening here? Huh? Esau is coming toward Jacob, and It's nighttime. That means they're camping out. Didn't have flashlights in those days. So they're camping out. That means Esav is sleeping. Well, if he's sleeping, that means his spirit has left his body. And it's journeying. Yaakov is really he's scared. And he is confronting his fear. He goes back across the river, which is a way of saying going back across the moat which you crossed. The gap that you created by leaving unresolved conflict behind. And though he goes back and he's attacked. He's attacked by the spirit of Esav. Because Esav too is wrestling. Except Esav is wrestling in his sleep and Yaakov is awake. So here you have two universes that are meeting each other in this story. One of many such stories. The universe of Yaakov in the wake world here. The universe of Esav's spirit in the dream world. Esav is resolving the conflict in the dream world with Yaakov, who is resolving the conflict in the wake world with his brother Esav, so that when they meet the next day, they're both happy. Because otherwise the story doesn't make sense. We can understand, okay, Yaakov is no longer afraid because he's worked it out, wrestling with whatever that was, with his conflict. So he's ready to go and meet his brother. Why is his brother, who hates his guts and threatened to kill him, also coming to him with open arms? Both parties have done their wrestling with their unresolved stuff. One in the universe of dream, one in the universe of wake. The wake and the dream are two parallel universes that live side by side. In fact, in the Jewish traditional teachings concerning illness and healing, they talk about the dream of the body. Just like your mind dreams when you sleep, your body dreams when you're awake. Just like your mind, your imagination dreams what? It dreams about stuff during the day that maybe you didn't totally express or really wanted to say something to somebody or do something or receive something and you didn't quite do it because you were it wasn't legal. You know? And so in the dream, there are no inhibitions. The body is asleep. Time, space, and matter is canceled. All the laws of the universe and the state and the county are canceled. And everything happens in the dream. The dream, there's total freedom of expression and creativity. No lawsuits, nothing. Everything goes. So the mind is free to express itself and think about everything it wanted to think about and could not think about and not want to think about, was self-judgmental, self-critical about thinking about. And likewise the body. If the body is not allowed to live in its fullest, to express itself and it's held back, then illness evolves. Then the body dreams. It's like if you go without sleep for many nights, what happens? You start dreaming while you're awake. Right? You start seeing things that aren't there, hearing voices that aren't there. Likewise, the body, if it does not get to be in its full aliveness, eventually, the ancients taught, it begins to develop dreams. It begins to give you physical nightmares. It begins to have sensations and awkward feelings, strange feelings, sometimes good feelings. Depends what kind of antenna you have to receive the message for yourself. There are many parallel universes. So I'm just naming a few right now tonight, because otherwise it would take us many lifetimes. Okay, so one is the wake world, the dream world. They live side by side. And this story, the ancient mystics tell us, remind us, is a story that illustrates how sometimes they come together. Sometimes you in your wake state may encounter someone else's dream state. Someone else is dreaming in Chicago, and they might visit you. Right? Floating through your house, looking at all those books on the shelf that you bought just to impress people, that you never ever read, never ever will read. Like the psychodynamics of Talmudic aphorisms, or the absence of flashlight batteries in the 12th century. A study in historical, explorative, conservational associations. I mean, these are books we buy. I buy them too. Depends who's in the store. And I'll take one of these, please. It'll be $84. Yeah, nothing. You take a Super 8 card? How about AAA? The door? Right there? Okay. See? We never know. I have this theory that, when I forget something, I say, damn, it's the tip of my tongue. Somebody else gets it. That's another parallel universe. Whole nother discussion. And then when somebody else goes, wow, I just got an idea. It's mine. Wow, ha! I got it. Where the crooks, they're thieves all over the place. Every one of us is guilty of this at some point or another. You got a great idea. Of course you do. Because some poor schmuck out there forgot something. Didn't have his notes with him. So sad. Tip of my tongue, right. Okay. That there are other parallel universes. Okay, here's like the major one that we want to talk about tonight. The major one we want to talk about tonight is what we call the world of Stimin Vigiluin. That's Aramaic, by the way. Stimin and Giluin. Stimin means concealed, Giluin means revealed. This world in the Hebrew tradition, the Hebrew language rather, is called Olam. And that word itself contains the meaning of both universes, the concealed universe and the revealed universe, all in one word. I will now write this word on the board. There it is, Olam. In English, you would do this, I guess. Olam. 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 In ancient script, you do this. In Samaritan script, you would do this. So, what does Olam mean? I will tell you what Olam means. Oh. Olam means this. Olam means both concealed, but it doesn't really mean that. It means like vanished. More literally, it means vanished. It connotes concealment, but it means vanished. So, Olam means vanished. It also means eternal. This is the Hebraic word for the universe, the physical universe. The physical universe is called Olam, meaning vanished and eternal. Welcome to Olam. Vanished and eternal. What does vanished mean? What does eternal mean? I do not know. But we'll try to figure it out together. Vanished means that I step outside and it's vanished. Everything has vanished. The source behind, the mystery behind the trees that I see is gone. I know it's been there because the tree is there. I know somebody walked down this path because there are tracks. So all of the physical revealed world, the revealed creation, the trees and the people and horses and cows and stuff like that, is called the vanished, meaning that the mystery that brought it into existence from nothing at some point in no time, primeval creation has vanished. But we know it's been there because here it is. Something was here. Scientists are trying to find out what it was. And they go way back and they find little protons and neurons and kryptonite and atoms, and then they keep going back to try to find what began. And they can't find it because it keeps going farther and farther back until they find some little tiny particle. There was an article in the April issue of Discover magazine, a scientific magazine for people who can't understand science. And it showed an actual size picture of the original universe. It was about, let's see, something like this. It says, as far back as they can trace the beginnings of the universe, the very beginning of the universe could not have been any bigger than this. And it had a little thing, actual size. Yeah. You know, primeval universe 15 billion trillion years ago, right? Now, where'd that come from? And what was around here? See, they can't answer. I've been watching Popeye too much. Can't answer the question. They can't answer it, you know. Science can tell you how something works, but it cannot tell you why. And they can't tell you where this came from. What started it? What started it? What started it? So in other words, everything that exists alludes to something that had made it and is gone. Where is it? Well, so the ancients tell us that the Creator is concealed within the creation, camouflaged by creation, vanished. Vanished connotes here, but hidden. We know you're here somewhere. I see your coat. I see your sweater. I know you're hiding somewhere. Oh God, where are you? Right? That's what Amos, the great prophet. What did Amos say, huh? Amos, the great prophet who lived like 2,600 years ago, what did he say? He said, Dirshuni v'chiyu. Seek me, God says. Seek me and live. Come find me. I think hide and go seek. You know, in the 1700s, there was a little boy who grew up to be a great rabbi. So Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi, when he was a little boy, was playing hide and go seek. And then, I think I told you this story. Those who heard this story just go this. He was playing hide and go seek, and then he realized that he was hiding, but nobody was looking for him. You know? We've all had that experience, right? Hiding, we found the best hiding place in the world, but the kids had decided to play punch ball. So they're out there playing punch ball, and he's still hiding. And so he came home really despondent. And his father, who was a great teacher, said, "My son, why despondeth thou, though?" He. And he said, "Why you talk like that, Dad?" I'm sorry, that's not what he said. You know. He said, "Well, I'm despondenting because I was playing hide and go seek and nobody was looking for me." And so his father said, "Now you know how God feels." See? Vanished, concealed. Eternal is the same word for olam as well, because it is all infinite. It is infinite. It came from infinity. It goes to infinity. Nothing ever leaves because you come from infinity. Therefore, you go to infinity. Everything is continuously recycling. Right? I die. I go into the ground. A nice tree grows, called the Winkler tree. You know? So the eternal one vanishes in this thing we call, this universe we call the physical universe. The infinite one, the infinite creator, the infinite God, whatever you want to call it, the infinite spirit, the infinite source of it all, vanishes, meaning conceals, hides within this reality. So the eternal is camouflaged by all that we see and all that we experience in the physical universe. Every leaf, our teachers taught us, is a camouflage of the mystery by which creation took place, by which everything exists, by which you exist. So there's no need to go looking for self-discovery seminars and to buy paperback books on the mystery of the universe. Just go outside and look at the leaf until they put you away. I gotta just look at it. Don't worry, we'll give you a leaf in your room. Okay. Right? And you will find the mystery of the universe concealed within the leaf. This is guaranteed, or your money back. So within our physical universe, you have a parallel universe of what we glibly call spiritual, because we can't put a name to it. That's the eternal, the infinity part of it, and the finite part of it. This, what you see and what you cannot see. We know that there's a lot we cannot see, right? Like the small print in those, when you buy your cell phone, right? So, 4,000 free minutes. And small print it says, just kidding. It says 4,000 minutes in dog years. Well, when you make a call, 4,000 minutes are gone. That's it. You only spoke for a minute. Yeah, but dog minutes. What's the matter with you? You can't read the fine print. Get your eyes checked. You shouldn't be using a phone if you can't see well. What if you dial the wrong number? Then you blame it on us. Parallel universe. Parallel universe is right here. That's one of the places. This is like Rabbi Rahumai, who lived in the 1st century before cable. He taught like this. He said, there was no cable that time. So Rabbi Rahumai, they asked him, they said, Master. That's how they spoke back then. They said, Gan Eden efo hi, which means paradise. Where is it? So he said, Gan, here. They looked around, they couldn't find it. They went to find another teacher. The man's hallucinating, see? But this is his teaching. Everything that we look for as something different and alternate reality is right here. There's a way to find it by shifting. I will teach you how to do this. So to do this, I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to reach into your pocketbooks. Place your wallet on your left side. You will feel a presence coming by. Spirit. Oh well, some places it works. We back up the truck and we load it up and take off. Look, I got to make a living. I got a family to feed, horses to feed, donkeys. We don't grow much in New Mexico, so we have to steal it. Okay, this is good. Now I want to go even deeper, because you're so wise, and this is like surface stuff. I'm vanishing the eternal. The eternal has been vanished. There we go. Gone. No more God. Okay, now listen carefully. When you inhale and exhale, you are, in essence, according to our Kabbalistic tradition, you are journeying, in a sense, in your inner place, in your inner consciousness, and this can be experienced in meditation. You're journeying between the two universes of the Olam, the concealed and the revealed. So when you inhale, you come into the revealed place. When you exhale, you go into the hidden place. Inhale, you're in life, you're in manifestation. Exhale, you journey to the next universe. The teaching goes like this. When you inhale, it's God's exhale. When you exhale, it's God's inhale. God exhales, you inhale. You exhale, God inhales. God exhales, you inhale. Like Russian roulette. Because one day, while you're playing this game with God, God takes in your exhale, and, well, You son of a... Right? The last breath. Vayikva vayamot. That's what it says in the Torah, in the narrative, the stories of our people. And he exhaled, and he was dead. He didn't come back. God's favorite game. So in the inhale, in the taking in of the breath and the taking out of the breath, two very powerful things happen. It's called this in Hebrew. Two things are happening. This is one thing, and this is the other thing. Two different things. Now I know they look the same to you. Hey, we're talking parallel here. But the vowels have been changed to protect the innocent. You know, vowels did not exist in our tradition until the 9th century. Before that, everything was taught by oral tradition, so therefore we had no vowels. So you can read this in two different ways, depending on the context of the sentence. So I could read this as kavod, which means honor, respect. Or I can read it as kaved, which means heavy, weighty. So the two universes of the breath is honor and weightiness. What does that mean? Oh, I don't know. But we'll figure it out. See, this is one way, kavod, if you want to put vowels to it. And this is the other way, kaved. Kaved, honor, weightiness. When I take in my breath, it is weighty. It's an awesome responsibility to be here. It's my commitment to being in life and my commitment to everything that being in life requires of me. My responsibility to the world in which I live, to the people with whom I live, to my body, to my soul, whatever you want to call it. Lots of responsibilities. Weightiness. When I take in the breath, I am committing myself to being here in life, to being in the revealed world, which has a lot of awesome obligations and responsibilities. When I exhale, I am acknowledging to the source of my breath, the gift of my breath. I am paying homage. Homage? Homage? How do you say it in English?
Ari.
Huh? Ari. Yeah, that was last week. Homage. I'm paying homage to the source from which my breath came. Honor. I am giving honor. I'm honoring. How am I honoring? I am honoring by returning to the one that gave me the breath. This is the mystery behind the offerings, the sacrifices that our people used to bring. We used to sacrifice, cattle and sheep. We used to eat them too, didn't just sacrifice them. And encyclopedia salesmen, there were different offerings that we brought at the temple upon the altar. And so what was the purpose? What was the idea behind offerings? We brought first fruit offerings in the summertime, the first of the fruits that came from the trees. We brought us an offering. The idea behind it was to remind us that just because we raised this animal or we grew this orchard, it's not the primeval source behind what brought it into being is not us. We go through the motions of bringing into being what has already been in potential state in the parallel universe, waiting to be translated into this universe by our action. So the seed of everything, including a seed, is in the universe of what we call spirit, uchniut. And when you go through the motions in your life, you are drawing forth, you are invoking that which is waiting in the spirit world to be translated into the physical world. So when I take in breath and I give back breath, I take in fruit from my tree and I give back fruit, in order to remind myself and to be in the consciousness of both universes. The universe that demands responsibility, my being here, and the universe that demands my honoring where it came from. Because if I don't honor where it came from, I sever myself. And that's what happened to Adam and Eve in our story, our version of our own story, was that they were told, since you ate of this fruit, which I wanted you to eat of because I didn't want you to be there to begin with, otherwise I would never have put that other tree there, right? So since you ate of this fruit, you can now go out and have a life. But it's an awesome responsibility because you're going to have to draw life forth. It'll be an effort, woman, to draw life forth from you. It'll be an effort, man, to draw life forth. We have to fill out the Blue Shield forms and stuff like that. I mean, women don't understand what we men go through. We have children. I mean, while you're coddling a little kid in your bosom there in the bed, we're standing there watching so beautifully, and then we feel the tap on the shoulder. You the father? Yeah. Come with us. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. Fill out these forms. No, I can't fill them out. Right? You have no idea what we go through. There's no Lamaze classes for men. As we fill out forms. Nothing. Nobody cares about it. I'm starting a whole movement. It's called the 15-man movement. I can't find any more guys who want to. So in that moment, this is what happens in the moment of breathing, in the moment of giving something back. It's about, it's a whole dance, a whole cradling of life, the responsibility of life, and remembering where life came from. Because Adam and Eve, going back to that, what are they told? They said, and this will be your experience, being difficult to take things out of the earth, right? Bringing things out, translating what is in the parallel universe to this universe will become very difficult for you. A big effort, it says, until you return to the earth. Which most readers say, well, it means until you're dead. But that's not what it says. If it does say, if it would have wanted to say that, it would have said that. It says it every place else, and I kill you, I hate you, I'm dead. But there it says, until you return to the earth. Because you severed yourself by putting on that loincloth. You severed your body from your spirit. You severed yourself from the universe of spirit, where everything comes from. You made it two different universes. There is this universe, and then way beyond there's that other universe. When before they were all one. All one universe. So you have this breath in and breath out, which connects the two universes. Connects the two universes. And in ancient meditations, the breath was very important, as it is in many traditions. Breath is important in meditation. In terms of your breathing into, from the universe of the unseen and the unknown, breathing back out to the universe of unseen and known, into the known, out to the unknown, into the known, out to the unknown, until you begin to journey more and more and more. And it is done by Giloe Naim, which means the rolling of the eyes, meaning everything is done by the lights that appear on the other side of your eyelids. Gal enecha ure, roll your eyes and see. That's how you come to the other places. What does that mean? Well, the Zohar, the collection of ancient mystical teachings in our tradition, tells us that when you close your eyes and you see all these lights all over the place, these are your soul's memory of the primeval lights of creation. Because the very first light of creation, the book of Genesis tells us, was not the sun or the moon, because they were not made till the fourth cycle. They were the lights of the other universe. They were the light that began everything. It was the light of primeval creation, the seed of the physical, which is in the spiritual. And that light continues and is a memory in your soul that you see when you shut your eyes. So you can live in the dark, you can stay in the dark, you can be not exposed to light, because you might, oh, well, that's be stuff from the light being, I walk around and I get the light in the eyes, and so I close my eyes and there are the lights. No, because you could be blind and you can still see those lights. You could be in darkness for a long time. You could wake up just tomorrow morning at dawn, set your alarm. Of course, like a fool, you're going to turn the light on and see what time it is, and you'll blow the whole damn thing, the whole experiment down kaput. Oh, I'm sorry, I was on TV here. Can I say kaput? Is that okay? So you got to watch out. Stay in the dark, and you'll see the lights that are there all the time. These are your soul, your spirit's memory of the earliest lights in the universe. The lights that come from God, the spirit world, that then hit the prism of the physical reality as it evolved and turned into many colors, to trees, to birds, to bees, to physical matter. Anyway, that's a whole other evening. Okay, now we go a little bit deeper. First we take a deep, well, don't try it. Don't take a deep breath. You never know. God's a very big sense of humor. Just breathe normally, don't talk about it. Do you ever see the Far Side cartoon of God sitting in front of the computer? And there on the screen there's a man walking underneath the piano being hoisted. And God is reaching for the smite button. Look, it's just a hobby. It's nothing really serious. Okay. Now we go for our finale. It's getting late, you're tired, you want to go home, you've had enough. Maybe not, okay. I plan to go to about 1 or 2 in the morning. We'll go to like 9:30 or so. Okay, it started late tonight. It was a good excuse for why we had a different time tonight, which we'll discuss next time. Okay. There are the earliest teaching of the parallel universes goes like this. There are 7 spirals. 1, 2, 4. Try over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 7. That's a spiral of 7. And then there is another spiral of 7, which is not that one up there. That's a baby spiral. Okay, and there's another one. Okay, wait. Okay, this one goes like this. 2, 3, 4. Okay? And then they go like that. Till they meet. And we erase this part here, so it looks good. Okay.
Oh no.
Huh? What?
Connect.
Oh.
Breathe. It doesn't feel right anymore.
Woo. Picky. Okay. Now, okay, oh yeah, I forgot one more thing. Right, this part here goes like this. Into eternity, into infinity. Sorry about that. Okay, here goes. What is this? What is this? This is the original Jewish bicycle. So flutter. Okay. The 7 spirals are called the Sheva Hechalot Ha'adama and Sheva Hachalot Hashamai. The 7 spirals of the sky, 7 spirals of the air. Meaning 7 physical spirals, 7 spiritual spirals, and they connect. Where do they connect? They connect at their very heart. Meaning that when you come to the 7th level in the earth spiral, you have reached the journey point, the connecting point to the beginning of the 7 spiraling into the spirit world, and then you're out. Now, nobody ever reached that point, according in our tradition. In other traditions, who knows? Everybody reached that point. But in our tradition, only one man ever reached this point, and he's mentioned in the book of Genesis. And he wasn't even Jewish, because there were no Jews yet. We were generic, so everybody was a generic. Hi, you generic? I'm generic too. Hey, generic? I'm generic. Hey, we're all generic. We're all generic. We are the world. We are the, it was a great time back then. There was no religion. Abraham wasn't Jewish either until, he was told to unfold his foreskin and cut. So when he did that circumcision and God established this covenant with Abraham that forged this Hebraic Jewish path that began with Abraham for his people, for his clan. Of course, he didn't get many followers. But this was the only commandment that Abraham had, only ritual he had as the original Jews. We didn't have anything else to do until Moses came along and made up all these things. I don't like shellfish. You shall not eat shellfish. I don't like pork either. I hate pork. No pigs. And no camel. I like bites. Chicken's okay. Just kidding. Okay, so, think of this guy, Abraham. He's coming to this land, Canaan. He's a new guy arriving there. And he's got this new religion and only one ritual. And curious people, very curious people are like flocking around him. So, what's your name, boy? Hey, Abe, call me Abraham. That's nice. Got a religion or something? What does your clan believe in? Just a few of you here. Yeah, this is all I got. We believe in nothing. We got one little ritual we do. You're kidding. Are you joshing me? No, I'm Abraham. Are you joshing me? You joking with me? No, one ritual is our whole religion. Can't believe it. It's only for men. It's only for men? I can't. Hey, guys, come over here. Hey, here's a religion with only one ritual, and it's only for men. And all the men are gathering because, they don't know what to do. They're in the goddess religions, and they're left out. Come on, guys, we're tired of this goddess stuff. Here's a guy that has one ritual, and it's only for men. Yay, men. All right, what is it? So we remained a minority. They all left. They went. So people like us, but they stay away. That's why we didn't go out proselytizing. What's the point? We have a great thing, See, Paul was a smart guy. He went out proselytizing, didn't work, so he dropped circumcision. Everybody joined the religion. He wrote the whole damn thing. Drop circumcision, you get anybody you want. Want to become a world religion? Drop circumcision. See, that rhymes. I'm going to write a rap song about that. See? Anyway, I don't want to talk about this. It's starting to hurt. Ruined my sex life for a week. So, this, right. Okay, now, what is this? I will tell you what this is. I'll even write it down so you can write it down yourself. And I'll write it down in a particular order that I copied out of the ancient book, which is too heavy for me to schlep on an airplane. And anyway, I don't like carrying Hebrew books with me. They open your suitcase, they see some strange language, they tell you to strip, they see the circumcision, and so on. Adama, Yabasha, Areka, and Chavan Eretz. Chava, Eretz. And then comes Yabasha. Then comes what? Comes Gaia. Then comes Arka. Okay. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the 7th is Tevel, right here. Tevel. Did I put that in the right order? No, I didn't. Sorry. I have to change one thing. I knew this was wrong. Yeah, that does not belong there. This is good. These two need to change places with each other. Don't worry, I'll fix this. Okay, here we have Tevel, and here's Gaia. Okay. Okay, these are the 7 spirals of the earth in the Hebraic tradition. Okay, we have Adamah, we have Yabasha, we have Arka, Charva, Eretz, Tevel, Gaia. Oh. Okay. They correspond to the 7 spirals in the spirit world, in the parallel universe, which are all governed by the spirits of 7 women. The 7 women are, first one is Yocheved, the mother of Moses. Then there is Miriam, the sister of Moses. Then there is Shifra, Pua, Batya. Uh-oh. I guess I didn't make enough spirals. And then there is, what's her name? Sipora. We'll fix this, don't worry. And we have Sarah. You make your own spirals and put that in there, okay? Haven't got time for this stuff. Okay. So the Zohar tells us, the ancient Kabbalistic teachings tell us, that the 7 spirals are governed by the forces of the spirits of the 7 women. Now you might ask, well, that doesn't make any sense. These are 7 specific characters, and they didn't live from the beginning of creation. So what does that mean? So it means that their power, what they were empowered with, is representative of the mystical, the hidden mystery powers and forces of the universe that spirals all of these attributes of the earth into existence at this moment. So in other words, it wasn't necessarily Yocheved herself, because the world existed before Yocheved, the mother of Moses, but it was what Yocheved represents, what Batya represents, what Shifra represents, what Pua represents. Who were these women? All these women appear in the very beginning of the story of the Exodus of the Hebrew people from Egypt. The story begins with these 7 women. The Exodus is made impossible without these 7 women. So the ancient teachers taught us, B'zchut nashim tzidkoniyot nigalu avotenu mimitzroyim. In the merit of the great women of Israel, what does it say of Israel? This is the great women, were our ancestors redeemed from Egypt. Who were these great women? They were 7, corresponding to the 7 spirals of earth and the 7 spirals of the heavens. Where do they dwell? They dwell in the 7 spirals of the heaven, where their attributes have always been in existence, spiraling the earth world into existence. Who are they? Yocheved, mother of Moses. Miriam, sister of Moses. Shifra and Pua, the 2 midwives who refused to allow the babies to be thrown into the Nile. They buy time for Moses' mother to put him in a little basket and put him in a sea. Batya, the daughter of the Pharaoh who takes the little boy in from the river and raises him in a palace. Zipporah, Moses' wife, and Sarah, a mysterious woman whose name appears in the list of the Hebrews who went down into Egypt and in the list of the Hebrews who go out of Egypt 210 years later. She lives forever. Okay, who are these people? Yocheved, without her, there's no Moses. And she nurses him. And after he's weaned, he's given to Batya, the daughter of Pharaoh, who raises him. Who is Miriam? Miriam is his sister, who the story tells us watches over Moses as he is floating on the river to make sure he doesn't get eaten up by crocodiles. Shifra and Puah, the two midwives, who buy time so that they can rescue the little boy. Zipporah, the wife of Moses, she saves his ass after he almost dies on his way to do his mission. You read the story, right? He's on his way to do the mission. He said, I'm off to do my mission, take the Jews out of Egypt, right? And so all of a sudden he's being swallowed up by his mission, by the Spirit. It swallows him up. He's about to die. Zipporah saves his butt. He's going to get like a heart attack. And Zipporah grabs an aspirin and throws it at his feet. And you can read the rest of the story. So, and then Sarah. Who is Sarah? She's the mystery lady. Sarah is the daughter of Asher. Asher is one of the 12 boys, sons of Jacob. So when, back in the story of Joseph and his many-colored petticoat, what's the name of that play? Petticoated many colors? Something. Huh? Yeah, technicolored something. So back in that story, when the boys go back to Father Jacob to tell him of the news that Joseph is still alive, they stop halfway. And Judah says to them, this is in the oral tradition of our people, and Judah says, if we just outright tell Pa that Joe's alive, why, it would kill the old man. He's been grieving for 20-some years, thinking Joe's dead, and now we suddenly come and say, Joseph is alive! Goodbye. What shall we do? And so Asher, one of the boys, one of the brothers, says, hey, my daughter, Sarah, the heart spiral that goes into infinity. And now you will know why she lives forever. My daughter Sarah is a singer, and a storyteller, and a dancer. Why don't we ask her to sing and to storytell and to dance the news to the old man, so it would enter his heart gently? And so they ask their niece, Sarah, would you please do this? She does it. She dances and sings and tells the story of, oh, Joseph Chai, Joseph is still alive. And the old man says, come here, my daughter. So she comes here, and he holds her in his arms, and he says, Joseph is still alive? Huh, like you're going to live forever. And so she does. And so she is infinite. Now, why is she important to the exodus of the people? Well, because Joseph, before he dies in Egypt, makes the Hebrews promise as follows. Take an oath that Pakot yifkot Adonai etchem v'ha'alitem et atzmotai mizeh itchem, which means one day the Creator shall redeem you from this place, this land, and you shall take my bones out with you. So there was a promise that the people had in their oral tradition that they could not leave Egypt without first taking Joseph with them, dead or alive. He was dead. How do they know where his bones are buried? Now, you would think, since he was such a famous man in the story, that of course everybody knew where he was buried. But the narrative tells us, Vayakam melech chadash, asher lo yadai Joseph. A new king arose that didn't know Joseph. You know, revisionist history. What Joseph? I don't know any Joseph. Do you know any Joseph? Not that I know of. The Jews were not here. They were never here. They never did anything. They didn't exist. Right? And so nobody knew where he was buried, except for someone who may have lived hundreds of years earlier in the time of Joseph. Namely, Sarah, daughter of Asher, who lives forever. And now you know the rest of the stars. Now, okay, we're not finished yet. See, what happens here is that the power of each woman, spirit, force, whatever you want to call it, nourishes and corresponds with and gives life to one of these seven, each of these seven attributes of the earth. Yochevet feeds Adamah. Adamah means clay, the clay attribute of earth, whose gift is peace. Clay, Yochevet, because she's the mother. Mother is what forms. Mother forms the baby in the womb. You don't have fancy sculptors going inside there. Let me climb in there, ma'am. Just take a few moments. 9 months or so, and I'll be out of there. Right? Interior decorators, no. Mama sculpts the baby. She's the Adamah. So Yochevet, the mother, is the one who, of course, feeds Adamah, the clay. That's why clay is peace, because peace is when you are able to form, shape your life. Brings you peace. The greatest peace we can experience is when the shaping of our life, of our fate, is in our hands. It's not always easy, but it's peace. What's the opposite of peace is when everybody else is shaping your life. That does not let you peace. I'm a basket case. I don't know what to do. He tells me to do this, he says to that. I don't know what to do. I'm a basket case. No peace. See, I just demonstrated that. Okay. Miriam corresponds to Yabasha. Why? What does Miriam mean? Miriam means Mariyam. Mari means master, like a master of the arts, master of the sciences, master of sorcery, whatever it might be. Mari, Yam means the sea. What does the sea mean? The sea is other world. The sea is a physical parallel universe. Can you walk and live in the sea? No, not without the right equipment. It's a parallel universe. That's why on the Sabbath, which we celebrate as a time during the week to make believe that we're in the world to come, where we don't have to work anymore, deal with business, answer telephones. So we eat fish. It's a ritual custom to eat fish on the Sabbath. Why? Because fish are from the other world. They're the closest we have in the physical experience of otherworldliness. It's a whole different world. They don't even close their eyes when they're underwater. And they don't do this. So Miriam is the master of the sea. And we see that in the story of Miriam. Our ancient rabbis taught that in the merit of whom and what were the people supplied with water. There are millions of people marching to the desert, and they find water and rocks and, miraculously. In whose merit? So the ancient rabbis said, in the merit of Miriam, the sister of Moses. She had the power of water. She was the master of the water. She could conjure up the water, bring it from that spiral into the Yabasha place, into the place, because Yabasha literally means dry, the opposite of water. But it's a kind of a dry that lives next to the water. So in the book of Genesis, where it says the water receded and the dry land appeared, like the beach, it's called Yabasha. Yikavu hamayim el makom echad, waters recede to one place, v'teiroeh hayabasha, so the Yabasha can be seen. This is the land that meets the water, the point of where the different universes and realities meet. Miriam is standing on the sea shore, watching baby Moses in the sea. Miriam brings the water to the people in the desert. Miriam's well. A lot of teachings about that. When she dies, the story goes in the book that you find in Super 8 motels and stuff, that other people took from us and called it their own, copyright Gideon, whatever, right? So even though we're named Gideon is our people's name. Unbelievable. It doesn't say credit Jewish people. It really pisses me off. So there it says that when Miriam dies in the desert, all of a sudden, no water. With her dies the water. Shifra and Puah, the two midwives, right? They correspond to Arka and Charba. Arka means deep, innermost, deep innermost. Its attribute is grace, for grace lives deep inside of each of us. By even the worst of us, deep in our hearts we have grace and love. Oh, we're so mushy. We have to hide it with so many layers. Every one of us has a little bit of grace in our hearts, even the worst of us. Let me give you an example. This is a story. It takes place in the 1700s, where all the stories take place. Shneur Zalman of Liadi, remember that little kid, hide and go seek? Okay, now he's a great teacher. So in Liadi, back in Tsarist Russia in the 1700s, the people come to him with a problem. And he's sitting with two of his colleagues, Rabbi Levi Yitzchak of Bardichev and Rabbi Wolf of Lezhensk. They come to visit their colleague, Shneur Zalman of Liadi. And while they're sitting there, these people come with a problem. What's the problem, he says? He said, the problem is that there's an orphan and an orphaness. How do you say female orphan? Orphan? Okay, two orphans. And where the town has gotten together to help them get married. Because in every Jewish community, even to this day, at least in the Orthodox ones, there's a kupatz tzedakah lechatanim v'kalot. There's a special charity collection taken up during the prayer for brides, so young women and young men who can't afford to get married. So the community is responsible for helping people to make that happen, set up home. So they come and say, we just raised money, and for the orphan and the orphaness to get married, and then the head, the Tsar's officer of the region, has kidnapped the boy and is holding him ransom. You see, in those days, if you needed money, you kidnapped a Jew and you held him for ransom because the Jewish community was going to pay. If a Jew hurts in Slovakia, we all rally together to do something. Right? Jews are held hostage in Uganda. The Israeli Air Force will fly under the radar and get them out. We don't let anybody, during the Russian time, never mind. Anyway, we are responsible for one another. So they don't know what to do. They need to raise 10,000 rubles to ransom the boy. Now, why did the officer of the region do this? What did he need the money for? Well, the story is that he needed the money because he was embezzling the money from the Tsar, taxes he was collecting with the Tsar, from the Jewish community all these years. And an audit was going to happen in a few days, and he had to find 10,000 rubles quick to save his butt. So he figured he'd kidnap one of the Jews and hold him for ransom. This poor schmageg was walking along the street, and he was the victim. Now the Jews say, we don't have any more money to redeem anybody. We gave all the money for the caterer and the photographer and the band. It's all gone. What should we do, Rabbi? They said. So Rabbi Shneur Zalman said, thought, and he said, why don't we go to Samuel the miser? There was a very wealthy man who converted to Christianity. He used to be Jewish, converted to Christianity. Why? Because in those days, the only way to be rich, if you were Jewish, was to leave your faith, become one of the boys, join the culture at large, and then whatever culture it was, and then you can become economically independent and have your own business and make a lot of money. So Shmuel, he used to be Shmuel, now he's Sam. Samuel converted, and now he's become a very wealthy man because he has no limitations on his business adventures. So the other two rabbis say to him, are you kidding? Shmuel the miser? Why, he doesn't even let Jews near his house anymore. It doesn't look good. Shneur Zalman says, we're still going to Samuel the miser. Are you coming with me or not? So the two rabbis says, okay, we'll go with you, but it's crazy. He's not going to give you any money. He doesn't want anything to do with his people anymore, his ex-people. Shneur Zalman says, listen, are you coming with me or not? And if you do come with me, you got to promise me not to say a word. All right, we won't say a word. We're coming with you. They go, they knock on the door. Samuel the miser opens and says, oh my God, Jews, you got to stay out of here. I can't be seen with you. It's not good. It's for business. Shneur Zalman pushes the door open and says, please, just hear me out 1 minute. Okay, 1 minute. It's all you got. You got to get out of here. I don't want anybody seeing you here. Okay, listen, tells him the story in 1 minute. And the rich man says, oh my God, my heart. God, that really happened? They were about to get married? Oh, man. Oh, wait here. I'll be right back. He goes to his study. He comes back, and he gives them a penny. He says, here. And Shneur Zalman takes the penny and says, oh my God, are you sure? This is so, oh. And the other two are there, what are you? Shneur Zalman says, this is so amazing. Thank you. I can't believe this. Thank you so much. Wow, you are, I don't care what they say about you, but you are amazing. You are so generous. Thank you. And they begin to leave, and the other two rabbis want to strangle him and say, how dare you even thank the guy? You should have thrown it down his throat and then strangled him with it. How could you say thank you? And as they're wanting to yell at him, but they promise to be quiet, the rich man calls him, wait, come back. They go back. You know, it's really, I'm thinking about it some more, you know, this is such a horrible story. Just a second, I'll be right back. Goes to the study, comes back with another penny. Says, here, take another penny. And Shneur Zalman again goes through a whole long thing. Oh man, you're so beautiful, you're so amazing. And the guys, they want to strangle Shneur Zalman now, you know, but it's strictly forbidden. So when they're walking, and this goes on, you know, for a couple of, come back, oh, you know, let me give you a little bit more. And before you know it, the guy says, oh, you know, and it gives them the whole 10,000 rubles. And they take the 10,000 rubles, and they redeem the guy, and they make the wedding, and they invite Samuel the miser, who then feels such a connection to his people again, and he decides to go back to his people and not be so rich, and everybody's having a happy wedding and a big party, and meanwhile back at the office of the Tsar, he's counting all this money and saying, oh man, I don't know, why should I give it to the Tsar? 10,000 rubles, my God, I could just go to Mexico, you know? And so he said, I'm getting out of here. I got another day before they come. He takes all the money, he puts it in a big box, he puts it on the wagon, and he whips his horses, and they run down the hill near the field where the wedding is taking place, and everybody's dancing at the wedding, and the horses you can trip over this rock, and the whole wagon tips over, and the guy rolls down a hill into oblivion, and all the money falls and rolls in the box down and lands at the feet of Samuel the miser. And Samuel the miser raises up the box and says, my money, my rubles, oh my God, this is amazing. And he looks at the couple and says, here, I want you to have this gift. This is a miracle. And the two rabbis look at Shneur Zalman and they say, look, how did you know he would give 10,000 rubles and change his whole life? And Shneur Zalman says, I know that every human being, no matter how bad they are, has a little teeny bit of grace in their heart, buried deep, 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 deep inside under all the layers of the woundedness and hurt and arrogance that they carry. And if nobody invites a little bit, nobody ever accepted a penny from him because he only offered a penny, nobody would take it. Had people just accepted a little bit, they would have drawn out more and more and more and more and opened up his heart. But nobody bothered to open up the door even a crack. So his heart was never opened. All you need to do is open the heart a crack, and you'll be surprised what can come out. So that's Shifra and Arka. Why? Because that is part of midwifery. Midwifery requires two things, Shifra and Puba. It requires love and grace, and you know, the word Shifra, by the way, Shafir, means smooth. It means the comforting, the grace, the loving holding of the woman who's about to give birth. And Pua is the drama of birth. Pua literally means, the etymology of the word, means the bleating, screaming, blowing forth that happens in transition. The final breath that blows forth the child is called Puah, just like it sounds, in the ancient Hebrew. So there's the woman who holds the birther, gently comforts her, loves her, pours out her heart and grace and holds her. And then there is the other woman who is dealing with the drama of life, and therefore she is corresponding to Harba, which literally means eruption, destruction, whose attribute is life. Volcano erupts, new life. An island erupts in the sea, we call our travel agents. Right? Mama's at the final brink of end of everything. I'll never have sex with you again. I hate you. And no more kids ever. And then, life. Not all mothers, just mine. Hi, when I had you, Gershon. Yes, mother. Tell me, how was it? Batya corresponds to Eretz. Batya is the daughter of Pharaoh. Batya is the one who takes Moses in after he's weaned. She gets him back from the mother, right? First she takes him out of the river. Miriam, the sister, comes and says, he's one of the Hebrew boys. You want me to find him a Hebrew nursemaid? Sure, I'll even pay her. And so Miriam takes the boy back to Yocheved, to Mama. And this is the only case of a mother in the entire human history that ever got paid for raising her kid. She's the envy of all mothers. So Batya's paying Yocheved to nurse Moses. For a couple of years, Moses is weaned, brought back to Batya. Batya raises him. Batya raises him. Batya is Eretz. What is Eretz? Eretz is compression. Compression. Literally the word means compression. Compression. The attribute of compression? Wisdom. Because wisdom is what? Wisdom is your experience compressed with your knowledge, your information. Information plus experience equals wisdom. Creates understanding. The compression of what you've experienced and what you know is Eretz. That's the attribute of Eretz. And that's what Batya does, raising him in the house of Pharaoh. She educates him. She teaches him. She initiates him. She brings him up. She makes him the man he becomes because she names him. See, the Hebrew name for Moses was Avigdor, not Moshe. Moshe was the name Batya, the daughter of Pharaoh, gave him. Why do we go by that name? Why don't we go by the Hebrew name? Because to honor her. Because it is the power that she gave him in naming him Moshe that enabled him to take the people out, because the word Moshe means taking out. And that's what it says in the book. It says, she named him Moshe, ki min hamayim mishisihu, from the waters I drew him out, thereby empowering him to draw the people out of Egypt. Avigdor, the name that Yocheved gave him at birth, Avigdor means the master or father, rather, the father of structure. Gedor means structure, to corral, which gave him the power to create structure for the people in the desert. Right? We had no structure. We just had circumcision. He gives us a whole structure, and you can't do this, and you can't do that, and you can only do this on Tuesdays, and on Wednesdays, and when you come into the land, you shall do this and do that. We had a whole way of life, a whole structure empowered by his mama, and the power to draw a whole people out of constriction from the daughter of the very man who was constricting us. Cosmic joke. Zipporah, bird woman. Zipporah means bird. She corresponds to Tevel. I'm sorry, where am I? Yeah, right. She corresponds to Tevel. Tevel means bounty. Tevel literally means habitation. I'm sorry. Tevel means habitation. Its attribute is bounty, ashirut, wealth, richness. So Tevel, that's why I like call Yoshua Tevel, all the dwellers, inhabitants of Tevel. So places on the earth that draw people to live there. I mean, you'd be surprised, it's very mystical. I mean, some places you understand, why people are drawn to the mountains here, or the mountains in Virginia, and the mountains there, and the green But to Kansas? People are drawn to, people live in Kansas. The big population in Kansas. I've driven through Kansas many times just to understand why people want to live there. But this is bounty for them. You know, there's a mystical thing about a place that draws a particular kind of people to it, that makes them want to inhabit it. The bounty of that place. When I was in the Judean desert a few weeks ago, you know, for the millionth time, every time I'm there, I can't understand why they want to live there, the tribes that live there. There's nothing to eat there. There's nothing growing. They have goats yet, and sheep and camels. But every time I go there and I don't understand there, and then I stay a few days, I begin to understand. I want to live there too. I want to live in a cave there. I want to live and die of thirst. I don't care. It's just such a beautiful, nourishing place. It nourishes me in a whole different way I cannot begin to explain. And so I really want to live there. And I told that told my wife, Lakshmi, I said, man, if we ever move to Israel, I want to live in that cave there over the Dead Sea in the Judean desert. And she, being a very open-minded woman, said, that's fine with me, and, you know, we'll even visit you once a month. And finally, you have Serach, who nourishes, who feeds Gaia. Gaia, by the way, is in the Hebrew tradition. It appears throughout the Tanakh, throughout the Hebrew scriptures. I mentioned this in other talks. In the Hebrew, it's spelled like this: Gimel, Yud, Aleph, and the vowels are here, Gay. And it's in Psalm 23, for example, the famous psalm that everybody knows because they saw these movies. So, as I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, right? That thing, right? The valley, okay, that's Gaia. In the Hebrew, it says, Gam ki elich begei tzalmavet. Even when I walk in the Gaia of the shadow of death, the death shadow. But actually, the Hebrew does not mean valley. That's a mistranslation. There's a bika is a valley. Gaia is a gully, is a wadi. The wadi in the Middle East is that very important place, very important dry riverbed that is the artery that brings life to the desert. So when it rains, when the rains come, it is the wadi, the Gaia, these deep canyons. Some of them are very deep. You know, we hike down very deep, deep canyons that are called Gaia, and wadis and dry riverbeds, and the water is just brought across through these arteries and brings life. You can walk in these arteries today in the Middle East, in the desert, and that's where the vegetation is. We walked through there, we just picked vegetation and ate it. You could eat stuff right out of the ground, edible for humans too. You know, it had the taste of radishes and celery and other stuff, you know. So Gaia, and that's why her attribute is power, because that is the attribute of Serach. Serach is Koach. What does Koach mean? Koach means two things. It means power, and it means potential ready to come to fruition, like in springtime. We can just feel, walking on the earth, and any moment now, what has been in a state of potentiality is about to ooze its way out, to squeeze its way out, which is the literal meaning of the word Serach. Serach is the one who oozes the bones of Joseph out of the earth so that people can be oozed out of Egypt. And she is the one that corresponds to Gaia, who brings the power to the earth's most constricted places to enable life to squeeze out of the constriction, out of the places that hold life back, that deny life what it needs to come forward. Serach brings forward. She is the sweater. Serach is also related to the word zerach, which means shining, like when the sun first begins its first rays, kind of oozing again, squeezing itself out of the darkness at the crack of dawn. That's called zerach, also related to the word serach in the ancient Hebrew etymology. So when everything seems bleak, dry, Gaia brings life. When everything is ready for the redemption, but nobody knows where Joseph's bones are, comes Sarah. When everything is dark and doesn't seem like there'll ever be daylight again, the little ray begins. Right? The darkest time of the night is when? Right before dawn. So these forces, all these things have. Okay, there's so much to talk about. Bird woman, Zipporah, the mother of Moses. Well, sorry, thank you. The wife, well, yeah, Oedipus thing. So the wife of Moses, right? And she corresponds to Tevel, to bounty, to richness. Okay. Now, bird. What is the significance of bird? So the ancient teachers tell us that bird represents two things. It represents, there are two birds in the Jewish tradition, hope and freedom. In English, gez is what you call the little bird. That's sparrow. I'm sorry, wrong place. That belongs down here. The gez is the freedom, and the deror, or the yona, we'll use the yona. Yona is the pigeon, the dove. Yona is hope, gez is freedom. So gez is so there's a sparrow and a dove. These birds appear. The bird of hope appears in the story of Noah when the world is about to be destroyed, and Noah doesn't know whether there's any dry land, any hope for a new world order, a new world. And so what happens is the Yonah is sent out on a mission and comes back with a twig in its mouth to cut, and a pair of sneakers hanging from it, and to connote, to intimate that the earth is now restored. There's dry land, things are growing again, life is back, hope. And freedom. Freedom is in the gez, in the little sparrow bird. Why? Because that's how it's used in the rituals. In the ancient times, in the book of Leviticus, you can read about it, there's a ritual called the dead bird, live bird ritual, where the Kohen, the shaman, took two bites and two gezim, two little birds, two sparrow birds, finches, sparrows, and all that little family, the birds that flutter away. And one of them its spirit would be released, and the other, its entire being would be released. It's called the dead bird, live bird ritual, releasing a spirit of one, releasing body and spirit of the other. The meaning behind that is a whole other topic. Also, finally, and we'll conclude with this, maybe have maybe a few questions, those who want to stay a little bit. Bird is very important. Just got to bring this in here. Finally, in the story of Father Abraham, the ancestor of my people, and other peoples as well, actually, the ancestor of both peoples who are busy killing each other right now in the Middle East. It's really funny. When I went to Israel a few weeks ago, end of January, beginning of February, I was very disappointed I wasn't going to get to see my Palestinian friends, who I'm very close with, some Islamic holy man and his clan, who lives in Dir Kadis, a little village near Ramallah. So I got there at the airport, and I'm looking around for the Israelis who are going to pick me up, and they're there. And then next to them is this guy in flowing robes. And here he is. So we hug, and we feel each other out for bombs and knives and swords and guns and stuff. That's how the embrace first originated, according to Rabbi Mel Brooks. Hey, what do you got there? A rock or something? What do you got? A stick, a knife? That's in the movie History of the World, Part 1, which is a very important commentary in Jewish history. So I asked him, how in the hell did you get out of the West Bank? I mean, even Arafat can't get out. And so he said, he showed me a piece of paper signed by a lieutenant at a checkpoint. on military stationery, giving him 3 days in Hebrew. They didn't give 3 days in English, but in Hebrew did. So I said, wow, how'd you get this? So he said, well, I walked to the checkpoint. He said in Hebrew, in Arabic Hebrew, and with, English subtitles. And I said to the soldiers, look, I have to get to the airport in Tel Aviv because my brother is coming from America. So they said, your brother is coming from America? Who's your brother? They said, Rabbi Winkler from New Mexico. Your brother is a rabbi? And you said, yes, he's my brother because we both have the same father, Abraham. And that just shattered the officer's heart. And he wrote that little note and let him in. So we had 3 days together. It was really very beautiful. Okay, Father Abraham is standing there, and I promise this will be the last thing I say tonight, besides other things that I might say later. Okay? I know it's late, and so much to teach, but what the hell? If you want to leave, leave. Not leaving? Okay. Okay, Daddy Abraham is hanging out, and he hears a voice, a vision. He gets a vision and a voice. The voice says, Abe, I want to make a specific covenant with you. Are you into it? I make covenants with different clans and different peoples that I like, and you're a pretty cool guy. I want to make a covenant with you and your descendants. Abraham says, me? You want to make you? Wow, okay, sure. That's great. Wow, God wants to make a covenant with me. This is great. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. And what does God say? Here's the covenant. You shall have many descendants. Yes, that's wonderful. And they shall be slaves for 400 years. I think, what the hell? Wait a minute. What kind of come back here, you? You can't give me a, wait. Okay, that's what happens in the covenant. This is a Jewish story. Everybody else's story is perfect and pure and everything is nice and cute and sweet. The Jewish stories don't work like that. Make a covenant with you. I love it, do it. Your children shall be slaves for 400 years. Okay. Right? Okay, but we got God back, Moses, take the Jews out. No, send somebody else. No, I want you to take them out. No, I don't want to. Right? So we gave God trouble back. Okay. Now, here's what happened. So Abraham says, how do I experience the covenant? What is the covenant ritual? God says, okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take a buffalo, a bull, an ox, a wild bull, buffalo. They had buffaloes there, water buffaloes. We still have them there. Big, huge things. I want you to take a ram. I want you to take a goat. I want you to take 2 bites. A dove, a Yonah. Oh, I erased it. Can you undelete?
Vanish.
Right, vanish, right. But it's there. It's been there. See? Thank you. My point. I want you to take a dove, a pigeon, a Yonah. I want you to take a sparrow. I want you to take hope. I want you to take freedom. These 5 animals. Then I want you to split the bull, the ram, and the goat in half. But don't touch the birds. So Abraham is doing this, and then through the halves of the animals, a great fire comes from the sky and cuts through the animals, right through the half of them, and does not touch the birds. In the middle of all this, buzzards come. This only happens in the Jewish story. Everybody else's shamanic journey is perfect. The Jews are doing a shamanic thing, a big ritual on the buzzards, and says, Abraham, shoot them away. Go away! Go away, Mitchell! I'm trying to have an experience here! Shoot! Get away from here, you! Right? Only in our story. They can't leave things alone. It's a beautiful story, and all of a sudden the buzzards have to come, and he has to interrupt the whole thing to shoo them away. But there's a meaning behind all this. But it's funny, too, when you read it. Not the meaning, but the story. And then the covenant happens, and Abraham is initiated. So what is this, and what are those two birds doing there? These are the two birds, the ancient mystics tell us, that are contained in Zipporah, the wife of Moses. She initiates Moses with freedom and with hope, because he's going now to the people as a total stranger to them. He hasn't been there in years, 40 years. He hasn't been there. He's 80 years old now. He had to flee Egypt 40 years earlier. In our oral tradition, he ended up living 40 years of his life, or most of that time, in Ethiopia, in Africa. And then he goes to Midian, which is in the area of Saudi Arabia now. And there he meets his wife, Zipporah, bird woman. So he needs to be initiated in order to bring them what they are going to try to find in this stranger, which is, can he bring us freedom? Can he bring us hope? Who is this guy? He used to live here, a million years ago. He's one of us, but he hasn't lived here in a million years. He doesn't know what we're going through. He doesn't have a feel for it. He's coming to redeem us. He has no clue about freedom and hope. He's had it good all his life. He's been a CEO at Jethro Shepherd Company, So Zipporah empowers Moses, the rabbis taught, with the two birds that she represents, the dove and the sparrow. The two birds that are in the vision of Abraham, the bird of freedom and the bird of hope, so that he could come to them and they will experience in him that he does bring to them freedom and hope. This is why that the animals are split and the fire goes through them, but not the birds. You cannot touch freedom. You cannot touch hope. Everybody has hope. Even the most hopeless have hope. Otherwise they wouldn't have a calendar in their house. I hope to see you tomorrow. We make appointments in our calendars all the time, We have hope. We have an innate sense of hope that there will be a tomorrow, that there will be a next moment. And nothing can touch that. Nothing can touch that. You can always draw forth hope. You can always draw forth freedom. You can lock me up in a box, and I will still be free. You cannot imprison my spirit. Dead bird, live bird. So Zipporah, the bird woman, brings that to Moses through that whole story of she and him. And so these 7 women, the attributes of what they represent in the meaning of their name, just like Yocheved, mother of Moses, means Yah and Chaved. Chaved, remember that 2 words I told you? Weightiness and respect, same word. That's her name. Yah Chaved. The breath of God is called Yah. The name for God, breath, in its dynamism is called Yah. I say hallelujah. Praise Yah. Kol hanshamata hallelujah. Every breath praises Yah. Because when you say Yah, that God name, in the Hebrew, you are what? You're exhaling. Yah. You're surrendering the breath. So that's Yocheved. So she brings him into the world. She breathes him into the world. Batya, the daughter of Pharaoh. Batya literally means daughter of Yah. Daughter of the breath. What does daughter of the breath mean? What does daughter of Yah mean? That means the manifestation of the breath in the physical world is a child of God. Every leaf, every ant, every person, every dog and cat is a child of God, the tradition teaches. You're the manifestation of the divine breath. Yah, manifested. That's Batya. Who manifests Moses, after he's breathed into the world, she's the one that manifests him. So the two parallel universes are universes that nurture each other back and forth through the breadth of everything, meaning that we live in a universe that is pulsating. Look at anything. Everything is pulsating. Right? Take a camera, time-lapse photography of a plant or flower, a rock. Everything is moving. Everything is pulsating. Look at a mosquito, right? You ever watch a mosquito on the wall? They pulsate. Back as well, do push-ups. Everything is pulsating. We are always pulsating. The earth is pulsating. Go to San Francisco. Stay there for a while. You'll experience it live. Pulsating earth. The pulsating is the constant back and forth flow of life nurturance and coming to fruition, being seeded by and breathed out to from this spiral of 7 to this spiral of 7. From the 7 ladies in waiting to the earth that is hidden. Like in the story of Purim, you have Esther, and you have her 7 maidens. So in the mystical tradition that reads all these stories as deep mystery story, not as literal history and fact, says the 7 maidens are the 7 women, the 7 forces of the 7 attributes of the spirit world, and Esther is our earth, who is fed by that. Why? Because Esther literally means hidden, that which is hiding something. And that's our earth. Our earth is very great and beautiful and mysterious. It is an excellent camouflage for the deepest possible mystery. Everything we look for in the beyond is beneath our feet. Like Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel wrote, he said something like, as the crowd stands and gazes at the meteors in the sky, the mystic will pay just as much awe and attention to the pebble upon which he stands. Any questions? Yes?
Earlier you said that the 2 spirals, the Earth spiral and the spiritual spiral, they're interrelated, and that it's a journey that we all have to make. And you said also that there's only one person that's really ever made the whole journey. And I'm just wondering who that person was?
Oh my God, thank you. I mean, I hate that. I go home after these things, or I go back to my motel and say, shit. I mentioned this thing and I didn't say what it was. Thank you. Okay, his name was Harry Hochberg. And his name was Chanoch, or in English they call him Enoch, or Enoch. As it is written in the book of Genesis, Vayisalech Chanochim Elohim, and Chanoch, Enoch, was walking with Elohim, with the Creator, Ve'einenu, and suddenly he was not. Ki lokach oto Elohim, because God took him. So in our story, in our scriptures, he's the only mortal that was taken into that highest sphere, into infinity, alive, taken up alive. Now Elijah, in that story, goes up in a chariot alive, but it doesn't say God took him up. So that's a different level of going up. So therefore, in the Kabbalistic tradition, the highest angel is Matatron, who is Chanoch, Enoch. So Enoch goes up and becomes the highest angel, Matatron, whereas Elijah, who also goes up alive but is not taken to the highest level, he wasn't taken by God, he just goes up because he's kvetching so much, God has to get him out of the world. So Elijah is like the traveling salesman who's traveling through the world and kind of like acting like a hobo and helping people out. And Matatron is the great power of the universe manifested in the fine line that separates in the illusion the physical and the material. Matatron is the highest of all the angels. So thank you for asking that. So that guy was Chanoch, Enoch. Anybody else have a question? You had a question?
Yeah, you mentioned mentioned the heart spiral.
Yes.
That is infinite, and is that at the core of all of this you were talking about?
Yes, the core of everything is the heart. Without the heart, man, you can be brain dead. It won't help you any. Heart is everything. You know, the first letter of the Torah is this, the Vet. The last letter of the Torah is this. Oops, the Lamed. This spells heart. Looks like an ass. Well, you know what I mean. Rabbis have very filthy minds. We're just good at not acting on it. Okay? So Lev, see? Lev. Lev means heart. This is the last letter of the Torah, and this is the first letter of the Torah. So when you take the Torah scroll and you unroll it all the way, and you bring the first letter to touch the last letter, you get heart. You get heart. In the Kabbalah, in the early Kabbalah of our people, we live in a universe of 3 spheres, and the center one is heart. The outer sphere is called Sefer. The inner sphere is called Sipor. The inner sphere is called Sipur. All spelled the same, pronounced differently. Sefer, the outer sphere, is text, laws of nature, gravity, IRS, all the laws of the universe, universal laws. And the inner sphere is called Sipor, which is about number. So many days for a boo-boo to heal. A boo-boo is an old ancient Hebrew word for so many months for a baby to be born, so many months for a tomato seed to go into tomato, right? And it's number, so dynamic. So text is now becoming dynamic. And then the inner circle is called Sipur, which means story. That's the choices that you make in your life. The ancient rabbis say, where does the choice that you make in life come from? Here. If it doesn't come from here, only from here, you might make the right move, but the wrong choice. So heart is very, very essential. In fact, one of our most important classical texts, composed by Rabbeinu Bachya ibn Yosef Pakuda, who lived in the 1200s, is called Chovot HaLevavot, which means duties of the heart. Duties of the heart. Heart. Achmana libabai, the compassionate one seeks the heart. Where is your heart? That's what God asked the first human couple in the Garden of Eden. Not what have you done, but where are you? Ayeka, where are you? Amar Rabbi Yavahu said, what does that mean? It means, Aye libecha, where's your heart? Because had you eaten of the forbidden fruit from the place in your heart, it would have been not such a bad thing. What happened? Oh, she made me do it. What happened? The snake made me do it. Nobody's home. No heart. That was the big error. No heart. Nobody's present in the decision that you're making. You have to be present. You have to be with your heart, your feelings, not just your head. You can invite the head to help you out. The head's pretty smart sometimes. But the heart, how are you feeling? Hahargasha is very important too. At the same time, don't follow your heart either. Do not follow after your heart blindly. Your heart has to work with your mind and your body. Nefesh, ruach, neshama. The buffalo and the ram and the goat. The body, the emotions, the spirit, and the reasoning. The body, the mind, the spirit. These 3 animals. They are the ones that do all the wrestling. That's why they're split in the vision. And the fire of the divine comes through them always. Whereas the birds, which represent the transcendent part of soul manifestation in the body, are untouched. The hope and the freedom are untouched. Can't touch that. Is there a song like that? Can't touch that. Can't touch that. You know, I travel a lot. I'm forced to listen to these songs. Yes?
You can't have one without the other, can you?
That's another song. Right. One without the other. Yeah. Right, you need your brain. But you know, the main part is the heart, because even if you're brain dead...
I meant hope and freedom.
Huh? Hope, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, yes. Hope and freedom. Hope and freedom are essential. Can't have one without the other, exactly. If you have no hope, you have no freedom. If you're not free, you don't have hope. But the two together do work very well. Freedom and hope must be preserved and untouched. So the pigeon and the bird, Abraham was told, do nothing with them. Just have them there. And they represent the final two levels of the soul. Because the 5 levels of the soul is nisham, yechida, and chaya. These are the two big ones, the two high ones that are untouchable, no matter what you do in your life. Yechida means one with. Chaya means living. Full living, like a dog lives. People don't live. They're busy trying to figure out the meaning of life. The dog is busy living. Oh, I love it here. God, I gotta pee. When's she coming home? Whoa. Woo. Hard to be here. I love it though. Living. And people are busy going to therapy. Right? The zebra with half his ass missing is grazing on a field. And people are going to trauma therapy. I'm not knocking therapy. I'm just saying there's a distinction between the animal, the living. Why the animal is called chaya. Chaya is one of the names for animals, for wild animals. And why the human is called medaber, speaking being. Because while they're living, we're busy trying to figure things out, the meaning of life, and why I am the way I am, and this and that. And the birds are laughing at us on the wire. You know, they're all sitting across the wire, watching the cars pull up to the psychiatrist's office, you know. Tweet, 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 tweet. It's a high level. This is like, wow. This is like freedom, the freedom bird. And this is about hope. Because when do you get hope? When you realize, hey, the whole world's falling apart. Everything sucks. Life's a bitch, and then you die. Oh, wait a minute. I'm looking at things in a vacuum. I got to see the big picture. The big picture. The great universe, the Grand Canyon, God, the infinity. I am one with everything. My hope is restored. Can't touch me. I am one with God, with infinity. Then you have neshama, which is the cognitive manifestation of soul. Then you have ruach, which is the emotive, emotional part. That's why it's called ruach. Ruach also means wind. So it's very windy here. I hate you, I love you, I hate you, I love you, I hate you, I love you, I hate you, I love you. Let's get married. I don't want to get married. Let's get married. I don't want to get married. Let's get married. Right? That's how we all feel when we go home. When nobody's watching, we go through this. Right? And then you have nefesh. Nefesh is badi, the appetitive. Yum, pizza. Yum, sex. Yum, TV. Appetite. Right? Cable, sex, and food. This is the three important.
Saturday night.
Cable, sex, and food. What?
It's a perfect Saturday night.
That's right. This is perfect for Saturday night. Exactly. See? So this is the way in which the one soul manifests itself in the body. This is the soul in the Kabbalah. The soul, when it comes into the physical universe, it splinters into the 5 rainbow colors of Yechida, Chaya, Neshama, Ruach, Nefesh. This part is what we experience most of the time, and this is what we maybe achieve or get to at some point in our life. through meditation, through living a good life, to living life my way. Right? So appetite, emotive, cognitive. See? But now what's this? This is the heart, the emotive. The heart is in the middle. The heart is the mediator between neshama and the body. The body wants one thing, the mind is saying, no, it's not legal, it's not good, pay for the credit card later, man.